Hi, I'm Yoav Freund, and I'm going to tell you about the uRight software. And many of you, I bet, have this kind of smartphone, iPhone. And one of the frustrating things is to use this tiny keyboard, right? It's especially frustrating if you have some mix of letters and numbers and special symbols. You have to keep switching between the different letter sets. So wouldn't it be nicer if we could just write directly on the board with our regular handwriting? Okay. So in fact, I'm using a piece of software called WritePad that does exactly that. So let me try to write something. So in order that you can see what I'm doing, I'm using software that runs on my laptop called Ink by Apple, and it basically does the exact same thing as WritePad. It recognizes handwriting, and so let me try using it. Let me write the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay, let's see what we got. So what we have is that the lowercase b was recognized as 6. Then we have that the lowercase I was recognized as J. Lowercase n was recognized as H. And finally lowercase z was recognized as 2. So we have two real mistakes, J and H. And we have two mistakes that are just recognizing as digits. And the question is, why is it so hard to do better than that? Okay, so why is it hard? Because there are three types of fonts. This is the printed font we're all familiar with as we read. And this is the normative cursive font. Okay, so this is what you are supposed to write if you write English correctly. But then there is another way to write English correctly that is in this worksheet. And yet another in this worksheet that is the Palmer's method, was very popular in the beginning of the century and included how to have the right posture when writing and how to use your muscles in the correct way. So that seems like very old-fashioned, but in fact, what we have today with this app, the iPad app, is another way to try to teach how to write. And as you see, the letters here, they're kind of so geometrical that it's very, very unnatural to write this way. Okay, so those are all the ways that we try to teach our children or learn ourselves how to write. And this is how we actually write. Okay, so here on the top there is a very nice kind of writing, and on the bottom maybe a little bit less refined. Here is a kind of modern handwriting that is quite clear. And here is something that is maybe quite elegant but less clear. And here is even less clear. And if you think that's the worst, here is Picasso's handwriting, which really looks like abstract art. So essentially, as long as they can communicate with this handwriting, it's a good handwriting, right? Even though it's not quote-unquote correct. So how do we try to deal with all this diversity? Here is one attempt to basically enumerate the different ways to write each letter. That seems pretty futile. Here's a different way. This is the Palm OS graffiti method, which was quite popular for a while. And what you have here is that you define particular ways of writing letters. Let's say here is the way that you're supposed to write an N, and here is the way that you're supposed to write an H. So they're very different from each other. There's no reason to get confused. Here is the way to write K, and here is the way to write R. So There's no reason to get confused. So those work very well if the person is willing to learn this new set of gestures. So we're talking about a situation where the person is trying to write and the computer is trying to understand, and it's really a two-way kind of street. So here is the person writing some scribble, and here's the computer responding, is this an H or is this an N? I don't really care if you write it correct way, but I need you to write H and N sufficiently different so I can recognize what you're trying to say. And you want the same thing. So this thing can be also used in other languages. Basically the same kind of general setup applies. Here we have the Hebrew alphabet. These are the printed letters. These are the printed written letters, which are not used that much. And here are the cursive letters that are used. And this is the normative way of writing them. And what we see here is actual Hebrew handwriting. So you see, it's quite different. Here is Thai, and here is the this is the print. This is the handwriting, which is in fact very similar to the print. And here is actual handwriting. So you see that it's quite different than the normative, from the normative handwriting that you're supposed to write. Okay, so what we're after in this project is co-adaptation. So the idea is to start from some normative letter set, have the computer adapt to the person's handwriting, that uses machine learning, and then have the person adapt to the computer. Now the person will do that automatically anyway, but we're going to try to find a way to make use of that adaptation and improve that adaptation in the optimal way. So is right. And what are we asking of you? So first of all, we want you to register on the site and install on the iPad. Then you can log in with your name and password. And then we want you to test yourself, or race is the new version, what we call it. And that is a very simple task. Basically, we'll give you the different letters in a random order. And we ask you to write them in the boxes. And you get points both for writing them correctly and for being as fast as possible. And what you see in this graph here is you see how your performance changed over time. So you see my performance kind of improved over time after an initial dip. And on the left you see a scoreboard that tells you how you're doing relative to everybody else. So you can compare your performance to that of other people. The next thing you can do is use other languages. So here I show using Hebrew in very much the same way, although there are modes to learn how to write Hebrew, because assuming that you don't know how. Okay. And finally, you can use the app after you trained it to enter letters to enter sentences into any app. You basically can copy whatever you write and then paste it into, let's say in this case, email. Okay, so here you paste it into the email, and now you can send it. Okay, so those are the things that we hope you would join us in doing, and have fun, and tell us what you think. Thanks.